If your only hiring requirement is, can you start Monday? You're setting your business on fire. I want to tell you a story. I had a client, his name was Keith. He owned a small roofing business back east, right? And he got to the point where a lot of contractors get desperate for help. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're picking up the phone and you're doing the estimates and you're going to the job sites and you're picking up materials and you're make sure the guys are doing the work and, right? All those things. And he got to the point where the jobs became overwhelming. He's having to pick up the dumpster. He was having to pick up material and all these different things. So he said, you know what? I'm going to hire a guy. I'm going to hire a guy to be my project manager, and hopefully he'll be able to take these jobs, these tasks off my plate. Right? So he hires this guy. Now, it wasn't a complete blind hire. It was a guy he knew from high school 20 years ago. But he didn't check any references. He didn't do any real interview. He just basically said, show up, right? So the guy shows up. Now, looking back, he said, he looked a little strange. He was a little pale, but I figured, he was okay. I asked him, are you sick? And he's like, no, I'm all right. So he takes him out on the job site, right? First job, the guy disappears for about 10 minutes. Doesn't know where he went, doesn't know anything. He just shows back up, right? The second job, they're loading shingles onto a roof, and the guy says, hey, I don't feel good. Goes back to his truck and throws up, right? He's driving to the third job. And it's not even noon yet. He's driving to the third job. Keith looks over at him. The guy looks like he's going to die. He looks like death, right? Asks him, are you okay again? The guy's like, I don't feel so good. So then Keith, finally being a smart guy, says, hey man, are you on anything? Drugs. The guy says, no, I'm getting off something. So Keith proceeds to drive him back to his office, drops him off and says, hey, I don't think this is going to work out, right? How many of you guys have experienced something similar? Now for Keith, luckily it was less than a day, but for some of you, it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later that your existing people are fed up and threatening to quit, that you're stuck cleaning up the chaos that these people are creating. There's tools that are missing. There's frustrated clients. Ultimately, the person that you're hiring with a pulse is causing more problems than they're helping. And in fact, odds are, if you're hiring the wrong person, you're setting yourself up for disaster. See, the real problem is most contractors scramble to fill the gaps and the holes and end up hiring warm bodies instead of qualified, culture fit employees. And we talked about culture before, right? And we talked about qualified employees. But I want you to understand the real problem here. And the real problem is you keep hiring the wrong people. And it's just like playing craps at Vegas, right? You're playing, but you're gambling. And at some point, everybody's luck runs out. What's the fallout? What's the real issue? What's the problem that you face? Well, not just the high turnover and the poor work quality and the endless headaches and really zero accountability, but think about what this is saying about your business. What is this saying about how you do business? If you're constantly having to deal with employee issues, your clients are seeing it, right? Do you think that they're going to want to work with you again? Probably not, right? How many errors or problems or issues will someone put up with before they say, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with your people. So what really needs to happen is a mindset shift. You have to understand, quick hires create long-term problems, period. You're wasting more time and you're wasting more money fixing mistakes than you would ever spend developing a real hiring process. And yes, I did say hiring process because that's what's missing in your business right now. You can't keep posting on Facebook. You can't keep asking your friends and family, hey, do you know anybody who needs a job? And expecting it to work out. It won't. You and I both know that. And it's only a matter of time before you get burned. So what needs to happen? Well, the first thing you need to do is craft a clear job description. What does that mean? Well, if you're hiring for a position, you should understand what is it that you expect that person in that position to do. Are there any specific skills or experience that you need for that position. If you're hiring a driver for a dump truck, odds are they probably need a valid driver's license. And depending on the size of the dump truck, they might need a specific license for that. You're also looking at character traits. Listen, it's your business. You don't have to put up with the BS that someone brings to the table. If you value hard work, honesty and integrity, teamwork, then don't hire somebody who doesn't have those character traits. As much as you try and cram it down their throat, it's not going to happen. The next thing you need to implement is a short, structured interview process with at least one hands-on test or working type interview. What does that mean? You need to understand that for most positions, we're going to exclude management positions for a minute, but for most positions inside of a company, you need to make sure that the person can do the job as quickly as possible. So if you're a gutter guy, set up a little test in your garage and say, hey, I need you to put these things together. If you're a roofer, cool. Hey, I need you to shingle this piece here, right? If you're an electrician, I need you to wire this outlet. It's very easy for you to create a hands-on or a working interview to determine whether the person has the skills for the position or not. And if they don't, you have a very simple decision to make. Do I want to train them and spend all that time, energy, and attention in it, not really knowing if they'll get it or not? Or do I just decide that this is not the person for this job? And I'm going to tell you more often than not, no is the right answer. The third thing, you need to align people with your company. When you're hiring people, you're not just hiring the person. You're hiring the person and all their baggage that comes along with it. So if they're not comfortable with your core values, if they don't value hard work, being on time, integrity, teamwork, whatever the core values are that you've created for your company, how do you expect them to mesh with your other people? How do you expect them to align with your clients and your customers? They won't. Once you hire somebody, you need to put them through a training process. And the training process is very simple. Watch me do it with me, now you do it. That's it. If they can't make it through 1 or 2 or 3, get rid of them. They're going to cost you more time and more money than they're worth. The outcome that you're ultimately after is what? It's a cohesive team that actually performs and saves you from the stress of having to deal with chronic underperformers. All right, you know what time it is. It's time for you to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go. Thanks for listening to the Success Unleashed podcast. Before we go, show some love for your favorite podcast by liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review. Until we see you again, it's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1.